How's it going? It's been a minute. I've been busy with my other stuff, been super busy at the architecture office and also on the guitar end of things. For those who don't know, I have a company that makes tools and jigs and other things to help repair and build guitars. One of my competitors went out of business in December, so we expanded our line, almost doubled or tripled our line in terms of what we're supporting. We're supporting guitar or acoustic guitar building now. So it's been a ton of work to bring on all those new products. And so I've had to put the 356 off to the side. The good news is I think I'm caught up, at least for the moment. And today we're going to start addressing the worst accident damage on the car, which is this battery box here. You can see all the impact and the rust damage, and the floor of it is just completely rotted out. So I've got new pieces and parts, and I've been squaring them up. And this has been a trick because these parts, these are nice, relatively flat pieces on the two sides, but this thing is really poorly made, like terribly made. Not square, not true, not anything. And I know it's kind of a funky shaped part, but the edges aren't cut, just all the things, bad. So what I did is I work on my table saw here. This is my workbench as well. So I came over to the table saw and cut a couple pieces that are perfectly square, exactly the right inside dimensions that I need, so that I can use them to kind of clamp everything in square. So around the back here, which will travel around there, I have another piece, and I just got jammed by a piece of sheet metal there. I've got another piece on the back that's holding it vertically square as well. And then I've got it clamped to a couple pieces of angle iron on both sides just to kind of hold it in place while I work on it. And between those guys, I was able to square up kind of the back, make sure that dimension's right, and then coming forward. But along this bottom side here, I had to put this big long clamp on there and just kind of tighten it till everything got square and true. Again, now that I've got that, I'm in the process of drilling in some clecos to hold it in place, and I've got a floor for it as well over here. And again, terrible part. Some of the details are nice, but it's not square, not true, not anything. You see this blue tape is an indication of square. Oh, not even close, like way more than a 1/4 inch off. And it doesn't fit the length of the bottom of this thing. So not sure if I'm actually going to use this part or not, but I'm going to get this clecoed up and into place and square, and then we'll turn our attention to this piece. I've got the bottom floor fitted of the battery box. Everything's upside down. And this piece of this nose that I was complaining about the fit on, it's popped up, and obviously this is dimpled down, so it creates this big cavity here. There's a tow hook that goes in here, and I think this has to lay flat against this, so it's going to take some time with the hammer and the dolly to straighten this piece out. So I'll probably have to take this apart 6 times. That's why I'm putting it together with clecos. I knew I was going to have to do some stuff here, but you can see it's sucked down pretty good until we get up here, and there's actually a slight angle there that bends. So I'll straighten those things out and get it fitting a little bit tighter, and then we'll figure out what the next step is. Found this photo on the internet of what this assembly is supposed to look like underneath, and you can tell this outer panel here is formed in so that it allows this tow hook to sit flush in the floor. So we've got to hammer that section to fit. I like this a lot better. I wasn't able to put my hands on the little tow hook. I've got like 3 of them, but I do know it kind of sticks out a little bit from there. So I'm super happy with how this is all fitting up. I've still got a little bit of gap correction to do. Once I start welding it, it gets a lot easier to get those seams flat, just because it becomes more and more rigid. It's always a little squirrely when you're using Clecos, but my next step is to take everything apart and get epoxy and weld through on the spots where it'll be buried for the rest of eternity. So I got to clean up these parts and then paint them a little bit, and then we'll come back and start welding this box together. Now taking a look at the car, I'll apologize, all the car parts are up there. I built some shelves, but I haven't got them populated yet. But this corner of the car is very severe damage. And from everything I've seen, this piece up here is called the upper trunk panel. And this line is supposed to be straight all the way down. So I think it connects to the corner of this front panel. So what I'm gonna do is kind of surgically start cutting out pieces and parts of what's here. I'm kind of torn, you know, where do you stop cutting? Because there is so much damage, like everything's got to come off. But I want to make sure everything fits back in a straight line. So I think what I'm going to do is just surgically cut off the battery box, kind of a little bit long, leave myself some reference material there. And then I'm going to mount the hood, and we're going to start fitting the hood to the opening. And I feel like if the hood is going to fit well, everything else can fit up to where the hood is going to be. Here we can get a good look at how, you know, that line isn't straight, but on this side it really wasn't damaged. How nice that little jog is up there. So just need to recreate that over here. I was thinking about buying that panel, but that panel goes all the way back. It's an expensive panel because most people, I don't know, don't need it apparently. But really I just have to make this little infill piece, and I feel like I can do that even without my English wheel. I have got everything shot in the 2K Rattle Bomb epoxy primer. Is just, you know, making sure there's no flash rust and that sort of thing. Really concerned about just giving these edges a coat where they're not going to see the light of day again. Most of this will probably get stripped off before we really epoxy this car. But just everywhere there was a weld, I just go ahead and grind off the paint so that we get a nice clean weld. So I'm going to Cleco this all back together, hopefully one last time, and then we'll weld it. There we are, one completed battery box, got all the welds done. I think you saw me plug up all the open holes, and then I just kind of one by one took out the Clecos. And as I take out the Clecos, I use the hammer and dolly and make sure that all the seams are laying as flat as I can get them right now. We'll probably grind all these welds at some point and then go back and planish everything, but really happy with how this came out. Glad that I took the time to, where'd they go? Cut those boards over there to help keep everything square as I was getting the initial lineup. That made all the difference in the world. Whew, that was a long, warm day out here in the garage. It's still 80 degrees and it's almost 9 o'clock at night, which for Colorado, that's pretty warm at night. So glad we got the battery box removed from the existing vehicle. Next time we get together, we'll be looking at fitting the hood and doing some of that stuff around that front area to make sure all our new pieces go in well. Take care, everybody.